Hello and welcome to the Villa Park podcast. We're back 2 nights in a row. Last night was our 2022 year review. So if you haven't seen that, please check that video out. But today I'm joined by Martin, Mr. Marto Leonardo, to preview the upcoming game against Tottenham on Sunday, New Year's Day 2023, the first Premier League game of the new year. Martin, first time seeing you since before Christmas. How was your Christmas and how are you doing, my friend?
My Christmas was very good. Got a nice few bits, new headphones here. Actually, noise cancelling, so I have to take one ear out because otherwise I might be speaking a bit louder than normal. So, got a lovely few bits as well from my nanny and everyone else. So I had a very good Christmas.
Brilliant, mate. Brilliant. Well, and yeah, glad that football is back. Although didn't get the best of results against Liverpool, did we, mate? On Boxing Day.
No, when I was in the pub with all my mates who support Liverpool, let me tell you, I have never, I I don't mind Liverpool fans, but when I tell you my mates as Liverpool fans waffle the ear off you, it's so bad. They
Oh
just
dear.
go and go and go and go, like. So look, fair dues to them. They got the win.
Yeah, and they are currently after going 1-0 down against Leicester. They're actually 2-0 up, 2-1 up at the moment after two own goals
Mm.
by the Leicester defender Fayez. So yeah, things are looking good for Liverpool, unfortunately. But yeah, hopefully things will be looking up for Villa on Sunday afternoon.
Hmm.
If you are all watching, please join in with your comments. We've got comments coming in already. We have UFTV saying, let's go Tottenham. Bobby K is here and Eddie, big up, dropping a like. Thank you very much. Aston Villa reactions, loving the new logo being put in place. Thank you for tuning in. That's much appreciated. But yeah, let us know what your thoughts are. Drop a like on the video. Please subscribe if you are new to the channel. We're growing. We are past the 740 mark finally, Martin, and we're heading. We need 9 more subscribers to get to 750. So if we could do that today, that would be amazing. But yes, please drop a
Unbelievable.
like. It helps us grow the channel and expand our reach to Villa fans. As I've said, we are the most underrated Aston Villa podcast out there. So make sure you spread the word for what we're doing. So yeah, we have the opportunity to make it back-to-back away wins. We couldn't quite make it 3 Premier League wins in a row, Martin, unfortunately.
No,
But we have the opportunity to make it back-to-back away wins. But the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium is not going to be easy, my friend.
no, never is. And I know a lot of people are probably saying Tottenham's there for the taking, but when you look at our chances, the wasteful chances we had against Liverpool, a lot of teams are going to be looking at us that we're there for the taking. So I don't know how I feel about this game. I'm not. I wouldn't say I'm not confident. I'm a bit nervous because I don't know what's going to happen. Either we take our chances or we're just going to be wasteful again, and we're just going to get punished for it. So hopefully something happens. I hope something happens.
Yeah, I agree, mate. I agree. I think, Tottenham are one of those funny teams, obviously against Brentford the other
Mm.
day, sorry, they went 2-0 down, but came back, and they seem to have this habit at the moment of starting games really badly,
Mm.
but roaring back and either coming back and scoring 2 or 3 goals to win a
Yeah.
game, or at least getting back to a draw. So I guess that sets you up to almost know that the game isn't won against Tottenham until the final whistle.
No, and that's one thing with Tottenham and fair dues to them. They may start slowly and they're putting themselves into a bad position, but once they get a sniff of getting themselves back into the game, they're back in it and they'll either get a win or get a point, like they proved against Brentford. I think they've done it twice to Brentford too. Um, so that's the thing with Tottenham. Like, if we're gonna put our chances away, we need to just put them to the sword and not give them any sort of chance to get back into the game and make sure that their slow start, we punish them for their slow start very early on.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're talking about chances. We'll get onto like your predicted lineup later on, but I
Mhm.
mean, I think players such as Leon Bailey guilty of missing chances the other night. John McGinn guilty of missing 1 or 2 opportunities where he could have had a shot. But the big player that kind of missed chances, although he did score in the game, was Ollie Watkins. And
Yeah.
without giving anything away in terms of your lineup, he's got to put away the chances that he gets, or at least be more clinical in terms of those early chances to kind of settle the nerves down, because it's all well and good getting a goal to make it 2-1, but how about getting a goal to make it 1-0 to Villa, or get us the winner to make it 2-1?
Yeah, exactly. Like, early on, he probably had the chance to put us in the lead, and that would have set the tone for the game. I mean, that's the difference between, going 1-0 up and setting the tone for the game. And, we had plenty of chances after that,
Yeah,
and still couldn't finish them. I know one of them he was offside, but still he hit it straight at the keeper. And, then he made it 2-1. And I was thinking to myself, it'd be nice to get back into this, but I'm in agreement with you when you say that, it would have been a huge difference had we gone 1-0 up, and the chances that he would have scored. And he's not the only one. You're right. He's not the only one. Bailey having missed a few, and normally he would put one or two away himself when he kind of gets a bit of a sniff. John McGinn, he hasn't been great as of late. So, but yeah, going back onto Ollie Watkins, he's a 1 in every 12 sort of chance, and it's in the Premier League. That's criminal. It's
yeah,
absolutely criminal to be a 1 in 12 chance. And I'd be forgiven if your striker was scoring 1 in every 5 or 6, because sometimes the keeper can pull off a great save, or it's a block and it goes just wide. But 1 in every 12 is not. It's not even championship standard. It's just so poor. 1 in every 12, and it's something for him that he really needs to improve on.
yeah, I agree. It does put real pressure on the defense, and you can't fault the player for trying. He just really put a shift in. It's just almost like, just calm it down in front of goal and just make sure that you put that chance away.
Yeah.
I guess the only thing is, some of them, the majority of them on Saturday or Sunday, I can't remember what the date was. Sorry, Monday. He got them on target. Now, I suppose good news and bad news on this. He has scored on his last. These are stats according to Aston Villa Stato, so I've got to give him a shout out.
Okay.
Ollie Watkins has scored on his last 2 visits to Spurs, and could become only the 3rd man after Dion Dublin and Daniel Sturridge to score in 3 straight away games against Spurs on Sunday. So that's a fairly positive spin. However, on an opposition note, no active player has scored more Premier League goals against Aston Villa than Harry Kane, and Kane also has an additional 4 assists against Villa, bringing his goal contribution tally to 11 in 10 games in the Premier League. So, yeah, I think, are we going to put Harry Kane on for first goal scorer?
You'd back it, considering the stats that you just after producing there. You'd back Harry Kane to score first, or even get an assist for the first one, is somehow contributing or scoring himself.
Yeah, well, we know last season, it was actually a really good first half performance from Villa. I remember being at the game, and we played really well, particularly that first half. And we just couldn't put our chances away. And Son just absolutely taught us a lesson in finishing. And
Yeah.
it's still the similar situation with Tottenham. I know we'll talk. Obviously we'll talk a lot about Villa shortly, but I think covering Tottenham a little bit as well is the difference between. There's not a lot of change really with Tottenham. It's still kind of solid defence, 1 or 2 kind of really good functional midfielders, but it's still the Kane and Son show, isn't it? And they're just so difficult to stop in terms of their relationship together on the pitch.
Yeah, it's always been that way. It didn't matter what manager came in, whether it was Mourinho, Conte, Pochettino, Son and Kane combining. It's just something you cannot stop when they're on Son. Like once they get going, it's very hard to defend against the two of them. And if you took them two out of a game, they Spurs don't really have much, but they do have some very good midfielders, and they are very tight at the back. Goalkeeper Hugo Lloris, probably one of the best keepers in the league.
Yeah, he kept them in it last season against us, but obviously then they ran away with it. But yeah, you bang on in what you're saying. Lloris is a great goalkeeper, and they've got a team that is kind of really, really set up to mould around those two players, and Kulusevski's a very good player, but still, it's still those two that are the main protagonists. They're the main players, and it's absolutely fine. But it's just working out a way to stop them essentially. And do you have the confidence in Conte and Mings at the back? If those are your players that you're picking, do you have confidence in them? Do you have confidence in our back line that we're going to stop them at all?
No chance. I'm sorry, but I hate to say it. Like Mings on his day is a very good defender, but not a great one. He's very good, but not a great one. Konza is the same. Konza's slipped a little bit himself. From his probably one of his first seasons, we were raving about him. Probably nearly going to get a call to Portugal because he wasn't going to get his chances at England. And now no one's hearing anything about Konza. There's been no, him going to play internationally with anybody, and his standards himself have really dropped. And which is probably why if we do bring in another centre back, they'll be in partnership with Diego Carlos when he comes back. I can just see Konza and Mings being dropped completely. Matty Cash is probably the only one that I could probably rely on myself to actually do a job. And funny enough, as you say that, in the first half against Spurs in the last game, Son was on Matty Cash's side and nothing came from that way. But only for when they swapped Son to the side of Digna or Young, I can't remember who was playing on the left back side, he scored a hat-trick.
Yeah.
And it just kind of goes to show the difference in some of the players in our backline. We just simply cannot rely on them. And you can only rely on Martinez so much, and he might save one, great chances here and there, but whoever's in front of him is who lets him down. Why did they get a chance away? Why was he able to put that in the top corner? You didn't even close him down. It's the little things, and it's unfortunate that our defenders just cannot do it this minute.
Yeah, it's going to be a real tough test, and talking about Martinez there and someone that we can rely on at the back. Interesting comments from Unai Emery in the press conference around Martinez. He's obviously back. His pictures were looking slightly worse for wear when he returned. Is he going to make it in time? Is the question all Villa fans are asking.
Well, I think he should. He had a good few days rest, and this is what I don't get when it comes to Martinez. Oh, he's only just back from the World Cup, getting to the final and winning it. But you have to remember, how many days rest did he have in between the knockout stages? Sure, they were training, but the training wouldn't be as intense in the knockout stages because you don't want this player getting injured, you don't want that player getting injured, and the group stage is the same because you want to make sure they have them for the knockout stage. So essentially, them going to the World Cup, their training sessions were lighter. They weren't as heavy as their clubs because they want to make sure that they have their players ready for certain games. And then when you get to the knockout stage, you might have one day off here, one day off here, because you don't want to have a training so close to the game that's coming up. And on the case that you might get to the next round. And we have to remember, he's a goalkeeper. So him training lightly is a break in itself, and then getting a break. So he's had plenty of rest in between, coming up to the final, and then he's nearly had 8 days off after the final. And when we look at some of the other players, like Lloris, like Varane, he was back in the France or in the Man United team, 9 days after. So what's the difference between a centre back and a goalkeeper having 8 days off? For Varane probably took about 4 or 5. This is what I don't get, because he's had such a good amount of rest, probably in between World Cup matches and then after the final. Yeah, I get he wants to have a celebration with, his nation. He wants to go back to Argentina. But I would have said 2 or 3 days is enough to go back there and then come back. Maybe not play against Liverpool. Well, you'd have him on the bench, but not just come back 2 days before the Spurs game. That's a long time off, considering the time he had before that.
Has he arrived back on schedule, or is he a day late?
I think maybe
he arrived back in the UK yesterday, but was just at
It might have
training
been, could have
today.
been flight delays or something. Anything could
Yeah,
happen.
or back in training today. Maybe it was like to just go back home, rest up yesterday, get back into training
Yeah.
today. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I think it was very, very sort of worded pointedly at Martinez to get his head back in the game. Make sure that he's focused. It's so difficult to say to these players if you just won a World Cup. That's part. I guess that's the sort of tricky part of a World Cup being in the winter. In the middle of a football season, because if a team that goes out early, a team like in England that goes out in the quarterfinals maybe feels a little bit cheated, a little bit robbed in terms of performance, comes back, those players are angry and they're raring to go. Whereas a Martinez, he's won it, and it's like if it was in the summer, they'd have like a month to drink it all in, to go on holiday, do interviews and stuff, bask in the glory of winning the World Cup. But it's like, no, mate, you've had a couple of days now. You've had a few days seeing the family. You've gone to like visit the president in Argentina. Right back, it's time to go to Tottenham on Sunday, and I guess that's a life. They signed up for it, but it is a little bit strange that how you kind of won it, but now it's like, right, put that to bed now, because no one's really going to remember it in the summer either. Everyone's just going to be talking about the next season, aren't they? Really. So I do feel a little bit for him that he's just got to get back into it. But we certainly need him, because I mean, Mark's commented here, the back line looked more confident just having Big Emmy there, and
That's a true statement. Yeah.
we can't keep going too much with Olsen at the back in goal, can we?
No, because I don't know what it is with Olsen. He just can't play from out the back.
Yeah.
Where Martinez can.
Yeah.
Because he was probably at Arsenal for so long, being under Wenger, Emery himself, Arteta for a little bit, he can play football from out the back. But Olsen, I mean, apps, and then he concedes 3 goals a game in every competitive match he's been in.
Yeah.
Man City, 4 against United, and 3 against Liverpool again. It's just, you can't come to this lad. You have to ship him off. He's had
yeah. It's a nice comment from Mark there. He's had a groin injury from humping that Golden Glove too hard. Yeah, let's hope not, mate. Let's hope not, because like you've just summed up there, Martin, I mean, I tried to give him a little bit of praise in those mid-season break friendlies, saying that we look a little bit more comfortable with him in there. But he's not only his ability, on the floor and stuff, which most goalkeepers aren't particularly great off the floor, but it's the fact that he just stays on his line constantly.
Yeah,
he doesn't really come for any crosses. He doesn't shout. He doesn't command his box. And I'm not sure what it is about backup goalkeepers for a lot of teams, but until they get that number 1 jersey, they don't have the same kind of presence or aura where you would think that they would, as soon as they got that first team opportunity, they would just be grasping at it, and they'd be shouting and screaming and marshalling that back four as much as they could, because they want to keep their place. I'm not quite sure why he wouldn't be doing that.
Exactly. If you're a goalkeeper, I think Tim Howard said it perfectly. When you're a keeper, there's only one person trying to take your position. So when he does, you want him to do badly. And it wasn't a disrespectful thing, because you want to be playing, you were the number 1 choice. And you'd want him to do bad so you can have your spot back. Where for an outfielder, it's obviously a little bit different. There's 2 or 3 players you might be playing against. But I don't know what it is with him. Like you said, he just stays on his line. If the ball's coming, he should be standing in a position and the ball's coming over the top, he should be able to time his run to just get there and hoof it away. And I don't care where it goes.
Yeah.
It just stops a chance. Let's say, well, I'm not going to say Darwin Núñez. He misses loads himself. Let's say like a Salah or a Luis Diaz. If they're coming at you, they're scoring. And I don't care what keeper is in goals. But and coming out for cross, he doesn't do any of that. It's like he goes, but then he's hesitant in going.
Yeah.
That he's afraid he's going to let the ball slip, or, I don't know what it is. And I think, and Unai Emery saying that he's doing well. I love to know what Unai Emery's drinking, because I would love some of it. I would love some of it.
I was just about to say that, because Really Random Reviews is joining us. So great to have you on board, mate. Unai's hinted that Olsen is doing well and Emmy has to adapt. And we've just commented there about those comments, and then also, he's commenting on the fact that Unai and Emmy don't really get on that well. And is that something that we need to be more aware of? Is there that little bit of feeling there that Martinez is treading on thin ice there with someone like Unai Emery?
No, I don't think so, because all the sources that have said that have actually been poor sources. I don't think they've been like, like a Fabrizio Romano or a David Ornstein or someone in Sky Sports who said, "Oh, Unai Emery's coming to Villa, and we know their history with Martinez." Like, there was never anything between Martinez and Emery at Arsenal, from my understanding, or a lot of people's understandings. So
I think he was
this
the
is
one who
why
said,
I
I
find this
guess,
weird, as where this is coming from.
yeah. I don't know whether he was the one who kind of confronted him around the situation where he said he wasn't going to be ever going to be his number one. I'm not sure. I'm not too sure, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know enough about it to kind of have too much of a comment. But it would be interesting to see because, as I said the other day, Martinez's stock is going to be very, very high, and if a bid comes in that's considerable, does Unai Emery look at it and think, well, it's big money for a goalkeeper, 60, 70 million or whatever it might be. I'm not that fussed about keeping him. I'm not that fussed about I can get someone else in, because Martinez, while he's good on the floor, he's not amazing.
No,
I
he's
mean,
not amazing. You're
that
right.
being said, I would certainly prefer him in goal on Sunday. So let's just get that straight. But yeah, maybe there's a little bit in them. Maybe he's just sort of saying to Martinez, get your head back in the game. We've got a big next few weeks, particularly to concentrate on. I want you to be my number one. I want you to be fit. Maybe he's trying to big up Olsen a little bit to sort of say that you're breathing down his neck a little bit as well. Or maybe he's looking at kind of not certainly January, but maybe further down the line in terms of the end of the season to say, your position isn't wholly safe, and if a massive bid comes in, we've got people that might be able to come in. Who knows? But it's going to be an interesting one to look at. But yes, we certainly need him in for Sunday. I'd certainly be much more secure in the fact that we've got a World Cup winner in goal with us on Sunday, which is not very often you get to say. So yeah. Let's have a look at your starting lineup, because there's a couple of other talking points in there, while we go through that, mate. Because yeah, actually, really random review just said there, don't want him going anywhere. Will also help to attract big players now as a World Cup winner and Messi's teammates. That's also a good point. We want to keep our good players. We want to keep our good players. But yeah, talking of other good players, let's see what your starting lineup looks like. Do you want to just talk us through it? Because one or two little changes there, and maybe a surprise up front. And those watching, have a look, see what you think. Let us know in the comments what you would put in for your starting lineup. Do you agree with Martin here? But yeah, take it away, mate. What's your thoughts on this starting lineup?
Well, for starters, for keepers, Olsen, I don't even know about him, as we all know. I think Cash should come back into the lineup. He actually, for me, he probably should have started against Liverpool. He had a really good rest period after getting knocked out with was it the last 16 they were going to quarterfinals?
Yeah, last 16, I think. Yeah,
Last
against
16.
France.
So he definitely should have started versus Liverpool. Would have lovely rest. So he should be starting this game. The rest of the three as the back four is kind of speaks for itself, because no one else is available. But Carlos probably not going to be back till February, as Emery has said. Kamara and Louise, I like them together. I think they work well together. Their link up play with each other is smart. So I think them two have cemented their place as the two holding midfielders. McGinn on the right. I like McGinn there, but at the same time, I think we kind of need someone out on that right side to be more direct.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, we have to deal with what we have. Buendia, he's very good as a free roll sort of player. He probably had. I could actually be the only. Excuse me. He's the only one I can actually point out that he had a very good game against Liverpool, created a lot of chances, and unfortunately we just didn't finish them. Bailey, I think, should start. He tends to do well in this 4-4-2, maybe 4-3-3 / formation, whatever it is, the way we play. And I think Danny Ings should start because he seems to take a lot more chances. And I seen a thing today that from 2010 to now, that he's converted 47 of big chances that he had had. So, like, if he's got a big chance against Spurs, it's nearly on a 50% chance he's scoring a goal each time. So, and not to mention, he's one goal away from equaling his whole tally of what he had last season. If he's sitting on 6 goals, he should be starting to get himself a hell of a lot more, because Watkins is just really wasteful. And I think Watkins needs to kick up the arse and sit on the bench and say, look, you missed your load of chances. This is where you are. So if you want to be back in there, take your chances. Fair enough, he's not going to score every chance, but he needs to be scoring the majority of them.
Yeah. Well, I think it's an argument for either. I think people are agreeing with you with regards to Matty Cash. Really random views. Said anyone see Cash's top bins on Soccer Saturday on Soccer AM, which it was really good actually. Yeah, they were great. And Rachel saying the same. She's just joined us, so that's great to see you on board, Rachel. And other people, saying that Olsen. It's about Martinez needs to be in because Olsen doesn't leave much security at the back. But I think I personally, one, I don't think that Emery will drop Watkins for Ings purely on the basis that he scored, and I think he did cause quite a few problems for the defence of Liverpool. I think he'd probably be more likely to take Bailey out of the team if he was to make a change in that area. If it, from my side, I also don't know if I would play Ings in this game. I know he played pretty well against Brighton and scored, but I just worry sometimes about him just being isolated up top. Like we'd have to get men around, like players around him. And I think the strength and size of Tottenham's defence, even though we're not the biggest side ourselves, I think he would really struggle even more so than a Watkins in that team. And I think the stat whereby Ollie's scored the last 2 times away at Spurs indicates that he plays quite well against them. So I would be inclined to start Ollie and maybe Ings instead of Bailey. I agree with what you're saying about McGinn. Like I do like him off that right hand side. I just think that again he needs to make those driving runs forward. And I'd like to see him shoot more, just because sometimes those passes are still not good enough. Like when he's caught up him trying to pass quickly in midfield, he's not great, and he needs to do those sort of. He can do those crosses, which are brilliant when he cuts in off the right and crosses in, or driving runs to get into the box and shoot. And I just think if he can simplify his game just to that level, I think he'll be really effective. But I think Cash coming in at right back. Yeah, I think so. I think we need him back. He should be in. So I don't disagree with that side. I think that's a decent side. I'll put it back up again, just to show. But I think the only thing I would say is maybe if Ings is to play, Ings instead of Bailey and Watkins up top again. I don't think he'll divert too far away from that, though, to be honest with you, mate. I still worry about us from set pieces. We're now the second highest conceded in set pieces, which is conceded 9 goals. And I just think with the height of Tottenham, I just worry about us from set pieces. Hopefully we don't concede too many.
Yeah, same here. It's a very inconsistent Tottenham team, and like I said, a lot of people would be saying Tottenham are there for the taking, but at the same time, a lot of teams are going to look at us like we're there for the taking. We're not taking our chances. We're not. We're very leaky at the back. So a lot of teams are going to be looking at us. Aston Villa are here for the taking.
Yeah, yeah. What about this? Really random reviews. Really worried about our high line. If we do that, like against Liverpool, Son and Kane will have a field day. I trust Unai to tweak for this game though. And I mentioned this the other night. I said that it was almost like a basketball match in that first half where both teams were just attacking, and playing. Both teams were playing a really, really high line, leaving massive holes behind them. But that was a kind of diversion from what Unai Emery's usually done. Like in the previous games with Villa, he's started quickly and got us on the front foot. But then as soon as we've scored or we've got back into the game, he's then kind of really got a really deep line and tried to catch teams on the break. So how do you see him approaching this game in terms of that defensive line? Do you think he will sort of drop us back a little bit more? With Son and Kulusevski and Kane in mind.
Yeah, I think he will. I don't think he's going to play a high line because Gentry would have a field day if we played a high line, especially Son and Kane.
Yeah,
They will have a field day. The pace is Son, they just play it out wide to him, crossing into the middle to Harry Kane, and it's a goal. Like they'd be as simple as that if we play high line versus Spurs. So I can definitely see us dropping a little bit deeper to ensure that none of that happens, which will make it difficult for us to get up the pitch. But Emery's a tactician. He sets his way up to. He doesn't exactly have a certain playing style, but he sets up a certain way to play against certain teams.
yeah,
So I can definitely see him doing something different to Liverpool, like he has with Brighton and Man United. So whether he'll drop deep, I don't know. Whether he'll have a high line, I don't know. We're not behind the scenes, but he definitely will tweak compared to the Liverpool game. That's for sure.
yeah. We'll see. We will see. It's going to be very, very, very interesting. Just a little bit on the stats for this game. So yeah, I mean we've had. I wouldn't say we've had a great record against Tottenham. I know in lockdown we beat them at their place. Actually, there was some fans allowed it in the ground, but I'll share with you the stats.
Mm-hmm.
So and then with everybody else as well, just so we can have a look. So looking at the match stats, 54 times played. Spurs have won 24. Villa have won 15. We've won 6 times away from home against them. They've won 14 times away from at their place, and we've got 15 draws. Obviously, last season we lost 2-1 at their place and 4-0 at our place. Season before that, we beat them 2-1 at their place. Like I say, it was towards the end of the season. I seem to remember Nakamba making a mistake that led to their goal, but then we got back into it and beat them 2-1, and Ollie Watkins scored. And then the 16th of February 2020 was just before lockdown when Son scored that last-minute goal where what was that centre half put in?
It fell under Engel's foot.
Who? Sorry,
Engel.
Oh, Engels. Yeah, Engels' foot. Yeah, and the rest was history. So that was
And that was kind of a blessing in disguise, if I'm being honest, with that COVID happening, because essentially that kept us in the league.
We don't need. We could. Yeah, we talked about that enough. Like that, absolutely saved us. That COVID lockdown. It was terrible for the world, but great for Aston Villa
For
in
a
terms
Villa
of keeping us in
perspective,
the
yeah.
Premier League. Yeah. Form here is interesting. Villa, obviously, over the last 5 games, won 3 and lost 2, so that's 9 points from the last 5 games. Tottenham 7 points in the last 5 games. So actually, form-wise, we're slightly better than them at the moment. So that's what I was saying about Tottenham before. They do concede. 2-2 against Brentford, 1-4-3 a comeback win against Leeds, comeback win against Bournemouth. Lost 2-1 against Newcastle and lost 2-1 against Liverpool. So they definitely do concede goals. Conceding 2 goals in at least 2 goals in all those games. So we've got to fancy our chances if we do take our chances. But yeah, looking at the positions, we're 12th at the moment. They've won 9, lost 4. We've won 1, lost 8. Their average scoring is 2 goals per game, and their average conceding is almost 1.5 per game. So, like I
I
say,
love
they
how you
do
say they're
concede
conceding,
chances.
but yet we probably conceded a lot more.
Yeah, well, I mean, the average goals conceded isn't that different. It's just that they're basically they're double in terms of their average goal score per match. They're double us, so
Mm.
that's where they're winning games. They're winning games 3-2, 2-1, whereas we're losing games by the odd goal most of the time. So that's where it becomes difficult. But definitely a game where we can go into it thinking we've got a reasonable shout of getting something out of it. But we've just got to take our chances, Martin.
Yeah, it's as simple as that. Like we probably had loads of chances. The Watkins header. John McGinn, when he simply had time to control it, but he went for a diving header. Bailey had his chances. Like it was just so frustrating. It was like they couldn't kick a ball, and we really against Spurs, we really, really have to take these chances. And if we win, you're looking at probably a good spot in the Premier League table. If you lose, you're back down to square one where you were before
Absolutely,
Emery
mate.
came in.
Yeah.
Depending on the results, of course, come
And it
tomorrow.
puts real pressure on that Wolves game, doesn't it? Real pressure on that Wolves game.
Big time.
Yeah.
And Wolves haven't been great either, but Wolves will be looking at us like we're there for the taking. Big time.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Before I get your score prediction, mate, and I'll go for everyone else's because we're getting loads of score predictions coming in. Please, thanks everyone for watching. Please, as it shows there, please drop a like on the video. Please subscribe if you are new and your first time watching, or you've watched regularly and you haven't subscribed already. We are so close to 750. At last check, it was 9 more subscribers we needed. So, yeah, thanks once again, everyone, for their support. It is fantastic for your support. But if you could please drop a like, help us spread the word for the channel, and help get the word out there. Like I said before, we're the most underrated Villa podcast out there. So please spread the word and get us to that 1K. It'd be amazing to hit that 1K. So I'll get your score predictions soon. We've got a few predictions coming in here. Really random reviews is saying 3-2 Villa. Unai master tactics class incoming, which would be amazing. Rachel, unfortunately, is going 2-0 Spurs. Gaza is in the house. He's saying 2-1 to Spurs. And yeah, really random reviews there saying 3-2. So what are you saying, mate, in terms of your score prediction?
I'm going to go with 2-1 Spurs myself. I just can't see us winning this game with the missed chances. But if we do win, I would be in agreement with really random reviews of 3-2 because Spurs do concede.
Yeah.
But my prediction is I would say 2-1 Spurs. It's not often I would call a Villa defeat here on this podcast, but I kind of have to be honest sometimes, and I just don't see us beating Spurs. I don't.
Oh, blasphemy
I
there,
hope I'm
mate.
wrong, please. Right, blasphemy. No, but I hope I'm wrong. For once, I would really hope I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go with 2-1 Spurs, and if they lose, or sorry, if Villa win, then
Well,
I'll
look,
wear me
yeah,
Villa top cry
exactly,
here live.
exactly. T1 is saying 2-1 Villa. She can feel a win is coming. I'm gonna say a dogged 1-1 draw. I think
Draw.
Tottenham will. I
Do you
think
think they go
Tottenham will
1-0
take.
down or they go 1-0 up?
Tottenham will go 1-0 up, and then we'll get back into it. And I think we'll. Yeah, I think we'll hold on to the draw.
You're asking for a bit much now, or like when we go 1-0 down.
Yeah, I know, but we came back against Brighton away from home. So
But actually,
yeah,
no, you're dead right. We did actually, didn't
yeah,
we?
we did.
Yeah.
We did. It doesn't happen very often, but I'm going to say a draw. I can't. I agree with you. I can't say that we're going to win. I can't say that with a lot of confidence. So I'm going to sit on the fence and go for a draw. Supermark there saying North London is going to be claret and blue. That'll be amazing. T1 saying Spurs are not playing better than Liverpool, even though they are higher up in the table. And we were optimistic about Liverpool. I fancy us against Spurs. So some optimism there. Some real optimism there, which is great. So
I'd
let's
love to
hope
see it.
we
I'd love to
are.
see it because they're killing my mood altogether.
Yeah. Well, let's hope we are celebrating on Sunday night when we come back on for a match reaction. And we've got positivity around the house. There's really random views here, positive vibes. Let's make sure we've got those positive vibes, and I'm sure you will be the first one, Martin, to be admitting that you are happy that your prediction was wrong, mate.
Oh, I put my hand up. I will solely put this hand up and say to everyone, I am so sorry. I will never do it again. Or I get told, keep saying it, keep being
Yeah,
wrong.
exactly. Just a quick one, just to finish up before we finish up, we just wanted to cover some transfer rumours and gossip, and we know the January transfer window's coming up. One or two signings already across the Premier League. Cody Gakpo has gone to Liverpool. There's rumours of Chelsea making signings. So, there's not been too much around Villa. This João Felix one isn't going away, but I think it's more his agent is touting him around for a bigger club. But I know you wanted to cover more so potential outgoings. I know we talked there about Martinez coming back and wanting to focus, but one player who it was thought that Unai Emery really sort of liked from previous management, but hasn't had a look in and does look to be on his way is Morgan Sanson, mate. And
Yeah.
one or two clubs in for him at the moment. Particularly those French clubs. Is it who was it who was interested in him?
From what I believe, that Marseille is one of the clubs who would probably take him back, and then I think it was Nice who are
Nice, I think,
also
yeah.
interested in him. Now, whether they're loan or permanent moves, I do not know. Marseille probably more likely to be a loan due to the fact that they obviously have their financial restrictions with financial fair play. I say Nice to be the more permanent one because their deals are very clever. Like, they don't spend too much on players.
Yeah.
From what we can see, they only spent 5 million on Kasper Schmeichel, where a Premier League club, Leicester might have asked for about 10, 15 million from somewhere else. And really random reviews there. 3 managers now not looked at him. Something not right with Sanson. And I'd be in agreement, but for some, and I like him because whenever he played, I don't think he had a bad game. And I don't think any of us can point out he had a bad game. But for whatever reason, could be training, could be clashes with managers, for personal stuff, it just hasn't worked out. And Unai Emery is obviously touted that, he likes some of the French players, but maybe some could leave. Sanson is definitely one on that list. Nakamba is one on that list, but I don't know any links to him going somewhere. Freddie Gilbert.
Yeah. Gaz has mentioned that Nakamba should, he's not been featured in any of the squads really.
No.
And it's a bit of a shame, really. I mean, Sanson, like you say, like there's been commented there, 3 managers have come in and not really looked at him. Like you said, he's tended to play pretty well when he's come through. So come on or played. So I don't know what the issue is there. But Nakamba never let anyone down. But isn't really going to cement his position now, really, with Kamara back fit and Louise in there. And I would imagine that.
I don't think he played anyway when Kamara was injured. So
no, exactly.
It kind of goes to show, like, he's not someone you can rely on if someone's gone.
I can see Emery going in for midfielders, whether that be in the January transfer window or whether that be in the summer. Like, you'll see what he's got now. He'll go with what he's got now, and then assess it in January. Because I can see those two going, because we also talked around players potentially. Whether the checkbook will be really opened in January is up for question, and whether we might have to get rid of 1 or 2 players to be able to bring players in for permanent fees. So that's something as well.
Yeah.
What about the loan players? Like, obviously, Eric Bonham is at QPR and doing pretty well. Kessler Hayden's forced his way into the Huddersfield team and got man of the match performances. Can you see 1 or 2 players coming back? Aaron Ramsey, I think, is injured at the moment, but is Emery going to recall any of these players back? Could you see Kane, Kessler Hayden slotting in at right back?
I don't think he'll bring any of them back. I don't. I think if he's going to bring one person back, it'd be Tim. I'm sorry, I really can't pronounce his second name, but I'm just calling him Tim.
Yeah.
But I think he'd probably call him back for the midfield position because he has played really well with QPR this season. I don't think they'll call anyone else back other than him, but I don't think they'll call anyone back at all. I think they'll
Fair
keep
enough.
people where they are.
I do tend to agree with you. I think, what's the point if Kessler Hayden's just got back into that Huddersfield side? Why then, when he's getting some rhythm, why would you bring him back? And then, if you weren't going to
He's sitting on
start
the
him,
bench again.
yeah. You want him to get games, you want him to get better, and same for
Tim, because if he's playing really well,
yeah,
he's
playing
starting
really
every
well.
week.
It's obviously, yeah, exactly. It's gonna do them good, and Gazza agrees there. Can't see any loanies coming back.
Exactly.
Unless their one's not getting in that team. Like I think there's a lad from who was at Newport not getting in. He'll probably get loaned out somewhere else anyway. So yeah, to come back and start straight
that'd probably
away.
be the only thing. People coming back, but then getting straight out loaned again.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. One player who I don't know much about at all, John Duran, has been rumoured from Chicago Fire, Colombian international, still only, I think he's 19, 20 years old at the moment. He's been, I don't know whether he's been just touted around clubs, but has played 27 games so far for Chicago Fire and scored 8 goals this season, or the season just gone. Benfica are apparently interested in him. It's looking like an 18 to 20 million pound signing. Probably be one more for the future, but by all accounts has got the physical profile, 6'1", age 19. Like I say, scores goals, can play wide or can play through the middle. What could you see about someone like that coming in? Is that the profile of a forward that you need, or would he be really just one for the future that we'd be signing and maybe loaning out for to maybe come in for next season?
No, he'd be one I'd really like to see. I don't know much about him now, but with the profile of him being, really strong, physical, 6'1", can play either up front or from a wide position. Those tend to be actually, funny enough, an Emery type of player, someone up top who's fairly physical. So he'd be one I'd love to see come in. It'd be a very cheap alternative compared to, other players you might be looking at.
Yeah, it definitely strikes as more of like, I don't know, Emery's come in, or one of he's obviously come in with a big backroom staff who, if he had scouts out there for Villarreal, like looking at players to bring in for Villarreal, then it would only make sense that he would potentially put those on a list for
Aston
us
Villa.
to look at. Yeah. So
no,
it could be
100%.
that. Yeah,
I agree with you there, because he was one player. For starters, I don't know much about him, regardless whether this was Emery or Gerrard or Dean Smith, but there was never a link with him with other previous managers. Like, there was never this, oh, look at this young lad up and coming from the MLS being linked with Aston Villa. This is only happening because Emery is probably there. So I can imagine these scouts that were doing something for Villarreal, like you said, are now doing something for Aston Villa because that's where Emery is. So he would be one that would be nice to come in. And at his age, 19, getting 8 goals in how many games did you say? 27?
Yeah.
Yeah, which is a good return because that's probably a breakout year for someone his age. So
Exactly.
for him to come in, let's say he comes in January, and I'm not expecting him to, light up the Premier League, and but if he comes in and offers you something different and kicks on next season, I'm fully open to bringing him in.
Exactly.
I would be.
Exactly. Yeah. Tiwan's asking there, when does the window open? It's officially January the 1st, but I'd imagine quite a few, like the Gakpo deal, one or two other things have probably been done already. And she only wants to see Thuram come in as a striker and move Watkins to the wing. I agree. I think Thuram would be a great signing, and you've commented on that before, Martin. At 10 million, because his contract's going out, it would be a great deal. But I can see a lot of clubs going in for him, to be honest.
Yeah, well, I think Emery did have contact with him in the summer because he tried to bring him to Villarreal. So I can imagine he probably would have had, some sort of contact with him in the summer, or whether it was his representatives or himself, and he was probably close to getting him to Villarreal because he was on the last year of his contract with Gladbach. So I imagine if we are going to get him, he probably would lean towards us because he's had that talk with Emery, he's had the talk with the representatives, so it might be easier in that sense.
Yeah, yeah,
But it depends. Obviously, wages, personal terms. What can we do then to help him join Villa? So we'll have to see how this one pans out. I'm in agreement with T1. Uh, I would love to see him come in, Watkins out wide, because from my understanding, when he was at Brentford, he always played from out wide, cutting in from the left under Smith, and he was really effective then. And so it probably would be nice to see, because Watkins is really direct up
yeah,
front. We know he missed a lot of chances, but he's very direct. So for him to go out wide in a position that's direct, and that's what an Emery winger is, someone who's really direct and just goes and knows the structure and the system. So it'd be nice to see if we do bring it to Ram, or we do bring in this John fella, to get them up top and move Watkins out somewhere else. It could make for an interesting few months ahead for Villa.
yeah. Agreed, mate. Agreed. And finally, Gaz has reminded me of this as Coutinho. Obviously, it was all rumours of Corinthians coming in for him. They're trying to get a deal done, and Coutinho had almost given the green light to this deal, and we all thought, it's all done. But apparently, he made a statement saying that it was all absolute rubbish, and he's fully committed to Aston Villa, and he's loving it here. His family are really settled here, and he's absolutely enjoying his football, and all he's concentrating on is getting back to full fitness. I mean, what do you make of those comments in terms of Coutinho coming out, and are you happy with that?
So, I don't know what to make of it, because I found it a coincidence, whether it was him or maybe it was just a journalist trying to stir a bit of pop. When Gerrard left, it was, oh, he's injured for 10 weeks, or now he wants to go to Brazil, and his agent wants to do this. So, and then Coutinho, he obviously put out that statement saying it's lies, I'm happy at Villa, my family's happy here. The only thing I'm concerned about is getting over my injury. So I think he's probably saying the right things to Villa fans, but I don't know what to make of it, because I'm a believer when I see it. I believe it when I see it.
Yeah.
So like, if he says beyond the January transfer window, right, fair enough. I'll give him credit. He was honest. He said he's not leaving that month, but he believes in the summer. I'd be happy to see him go. I wouldn't have an issue against him then. Where if he said, obviously what he said now, and then leave in January, you've only put yourself in a bad spot.
Yeah, I get it. I actually tend to agree with you there. I think, it's very easy to say those words and, come across as you being fully committed to the cause. And like you say, it sounds great to say it to Villa fans. But yeah, the proof of the being the pudding. I honestly, I can still see him leaving.
Yeah.
I actually thought when I saw the comments, I thought he's leaving on the 1st of January, because it's almost like you're protesting too much about it. So yeah, we'll see. I mean, look, if he can recapture that form of last January when he first came in, and like we were talking about on the last show, I think we'll all be absolutely buzzing. Those goals he scored, the performance against Leeds, just the class that he showed, the performance against Southampton, would be phenomenal. But it's just one of those where I just think you come out with all those statements, and it's just like, yeah, mate, you're leaving. But
Yeah.
we'll see. Gaz is saying no Villa fans would miss him should he go. I don't think they would, to be honest. I think we'll class it as a one that didn't work. And then Coutinho, Villa Reactions is saying Coutinho and Martinez are here to stay. Well, yeah, certainly hope that Martinez is. Like I say, I wouldn't be massively fussed on Coutinho. I think it was a great vanity signing for us, but ultimately, and it could have really worked. It could have really kicked us on, but for whatever reason, it just didn't. But yeah, Mark, it's going to be a really interesting January window, because I think the owners could take many avenues on this. They could say to Emery, you go with what you've got, try and get the best out of these players. We'll give you funds in the summer. They could throw money at it in January and say, right, get who you need now. We can't waste any time. Or they could kind of hedge their bets and go loan signings and get rid of some players, trim the fat out of the squad. Because for me, there's just so many wasted players in that squad. And players
it's a
that
wage bill issue. It's a wage bill issue.
There's players that aren't even getting into the 19. Like, he's putting Caden Young, which is great. Cameron Archer's obviously getting on the bench, but the likes of Sanson, the likes of Nakamba just aren't getting a look in. So they've got to be looking to be getting rid. They've got to be. So it's going to be really interesting this January window to see what we can do with getting some of these players off the wage bill. Yeah. Well, Martin, thank you for joining me.
No problem.
It's been a pleasure, mate. It's been a pleasure, and hopefully we will get a result on Sunday. We are desperate for a result, as we always seem to be, but I think you summed it up. It's either we win on Sunday and we're looking up the table, or we lose on Sunday and we're absolutely back to square one, which is not where we want to be, and puts real pressure on that Wolves game. Thank you for everyone for watching, and your comments are great. There's people having a laugh in the comments here about France and what they eat and what they don't eat, which is really funny. Yeah. But thank you for all your comments. Thanks for everyone watching. Please, like I said before, like and subscribe to the channel. It is great. We are, like I say, I hope that we've hit that 750. It'll be amazing. Have a great new year, everyone. We will see you in 2023, and let's hope it is a much better, much more productive year for Villa under Unai Emery. Another new era. Please let this be a good one. Martin, it's been a pleasure, mate. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Remember, we all follow the Villa.
Happy New Year.
Later,